Before this video begins, thanks for clicking, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider it. It's free, and we release daily content for anyone who wants to watch it. About half of our viewers aren't even subscribed, so if you're one of those people, hit the red subscribe button and tune in to see if you like what we make. And for now, enjoy the video. Now, I'm no genius at analyzing films, even though I wish I was, but I think everyone can agree with me when I say that Studio Ghibli films are some of the best animated movies ever created. I would argue that they even surpass most live-action films as well. But why is that? What makes them so special? I'm here to answer those questions and give you all some insight as to why you should start watching Ghibli films if you haven't. And as a disclaimer, I don't know everything, and there's a ton of other animation studios that do a fantastic job at telling stories. Ghibli is just my personal favorite. Let's start with the basics. Studio Ghibli was founded in June of 1985 by Hayao Miyazaki, Isaya Takahata, and Toshio Suzuki. I probably didn't pronounce those names correctly. I'm sorry. I would argue that Miyazaki is definitely the most well-known, and I'll probably be referencing mostly his films, so just know that Miyazaki is a director and writer for most of the popular Ghibli films. Anyways, Studio Ghibli makes anime movies of various genres, stories, and tones. Each of these films tend to teach a lesson on morality, justice, love, and even passion for the conservation of the planet. That last one is very specific, but if you don't understand why, go watch Nausicaa and Princess Mononoke. The point is, each story has a purpose. It's got a moral lesson, which has been an integral part of stories since the beginning of time. That part isn't unique, but it allows the audience to relate to the characters. And the growth that they experience can often draw parallels to the growth that real people frequently engage in. I'm not here to argue that anime does it better than real life, but Western stories tend to throw deep moral questions out of the window in exchange for flashy effects or action to make up for the cliched life lessons within. Of course, I'm speaking generally, but that's just my opinion. There's a deep, philosophical way that Ghibli and Eastern films approach moral lessons in movies. This is, again, not to say that you have to enjoy them, but I think you should look into the movies made in other places to see how they compare to our Western filmmaking. Alright, so I've mentioned some things about character, but there are certain outliers and examples that you can find to say, well, I've seen good characters here and I don't care what you think. Okay, that's fair, but I urge you to find any example of studio-wide world building that is as consistent as Studio Ghibli's works. Go ahead. I'm not being sarcastic, like I am legitimately curious to know more world building examples like Ghibli's because theirs is stellar. I will watch all of the suggestions that you put in the comments, just let me know. Alright, here's why their world building is so good, alright? Here's why. It's a big ol' secret. No one has ever said this before. Alright? Here it is. Now keep this to yourself. It's show don't tell. That's it. Geez, we've all heard that before, Wade. Yeah, I know, but I mean it. I'll take one of Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki's most famous works, Spirited Away, as an example. In the beginning, the audience is introduced to a relatively normal setting, a car, and we learn that our main character, Chihiro, along with her family, are moving to a new place. Chihiro's father takes a shortcut through a tunnel, and bing bang boom, stuff gets weird. Her parents are pigs, and the world looks all wonky, and basically, the viewer is just as lost as Chihiro. There is no boring explanation before the plot moves somewhere, there's no perfect Mary Sue characters, and the world is so weird that the audience is practically forced to become invested to understand what's going on. Little hints at what's beneath all of that weirdness are placed in the film, and sure, exposition is given explaining where Chihiro is and stuff, but it's not some dumb monologue by an old guy that starts like, at the beginning of time. I've been down this road before. If you haven't seen my other videos, you get the point. This doesn't just go for Spirited Away. The Ghibli characters are realistic in personality, but oftentimes strange in physical appearance or design. Things simply are what they appear to be. And guys, they're animated films. If you look at the cover art and read a title like Castle in the Sky, Princess Mononoke, or The Wind Rises, allow yourself a little imagination to let your brain fill in the gaps. Not everything in life is known, so don't say you just don't believe it. You didn't make the world. And don't think just because you're an adult, you won't like these movies. There's plenty of genres that adults can find value in, and there's plenty of moral lessons that adults can find value in. Look at the commitment that Jiro has for Naoko in The Wind Rises. Watch the consequences of violence visualized in Grave of the Fireflies, and have a lighthearted laugh while seeing My Neighbor Totoro. Animation does not mean childish themes or writing, and a lot of what the real world can't show us, animation can. No, you know what? Just watch these clips. Just a few to showcase what you could be missing. The animation style is so clean, and it creates tones and emotions that sometimes can't be created by other films. It's just beautiful. And don't even get me started on the soundtracks. I have listened to the soundtrack for Howl's Moving Castle for probably 10 hours at least. Each composer seems to put their heart and soul into the music, and the sound fits every scene perfectly. And don't any sub or dub watchers come for each other's throats, because there's talent on both sides. Most of the stereotypes about anime dubs being trash or less than the subs are annihilated in the Ghibli films. If you still think they're bad, tell that to Ashley Tisdale, Billy Bob Thornton, the legendary voice actor John DiMaggio, Anne Hathaway, Christian Bale, Frankie Jonas, Tom Holland, Emily Blunt, John Krasinski, and oh, the list goes on. I've said a lot about Ghibli, and specifically Miyazaki, and if you want a good place to start with this studio's work, I suggest Spirited Away. It's one of the most highly rated movies by critics, and it's a super fun watch. Although, I'm more of a Princess Mononoke fan, so I suggest that one too. This video could have been much longer, and honestly, I wish I had time for more in-depth analysis of each Ghibli film. I've just wanted to talk about these movies forever now, and I've finally had a little bit to go with. Let me know in the comments if you want me to dissect specific scenes of films or analyze any other Ghibli works. Thanks for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing if you have. It means a lot to us, and to those guys who have already subscribed, thanks for sticking with us through it all. Love you guys, stay awesome.